one game mechanic could absolutely transform this game from being a super dull, mediocre off-road racing title into a really exciting racing battle title. This is ExoCross, which was formerly called Drag in 2020 and then called Drag Outer Zones. Then iRacing, the developers of that racing simulator, which is, as we all know, is the most realistic racing simulator, they came along. They were looking for an engine and some tech that will allow them to make money selling more games across platforms and potentially integrating contemporary game engine tech into their 1930s racing simulator. They came along and bought this studio, bought the technology, and now re-release this for £35. So to save you guys time that are thinking about getting this, you probably got an email from iRacing with them announcing this. That didn't make any sense at all. If you're thinking about getting this, don't. It's really dull. It's honestly not worth your time. I spent about 35 minutes playing it, and I was like, well, what is the point in this? That's not to say the handling mechanics of this are really quite nice. The graphics engine looks nice. It plays good with a gamepad. You can use a steering wheel. It does have basic force feedback. Unfortunately, you can't bind separate pedals and a wheel, or I couldn't get that to work. It generally works. Technically, it's reasonably solid, as you would expect for a game that actually came out in 2020 and then is effectively being re-released in 2024. It technically works great. Nice frame timing, particle effects, illumination. All that stuff works fine. However, when it comes to the gameplay, it has no soul. There's no spark of joy to it. There's no real hook or compelling component to make you want to play it more. They've tried, it seems, to leverage the idea of just the driving and just the lap times, i.e. a kind of purist racing game, but with fictional off-road buggies on incredibly bland alien planets. It's like the lack of imagination of a sim developer has seeped into what could be a very exciting arcade game. The stages are so bland. The most obvious thing you would think of, alien planets. Oh, let's have a snow level with different bits where you may be going over big snow dunes, and maybe there's like a cutout bit of snow in a snow valley, and maybe you can't see for a bit because there's a blizzard, or you're going up a mountainside and it's amazing. Or maybe there's a desert level and you've got the desert valley stuff and a big open plain, maybe something a bit inspired by Star Wars Pod Racer level. Maybe there's a water level, there's waterfalls either side of you and you're splashing through a waterfall and you go through a waterfall that goes through a tunnel, or you're just on sort of lakes, or there's lakes either side of you. Like just the normal theming stuff that you could really do with a fictional game that would make it visually really interesting. Even if you kept it super simple, even if you're like, we're on a really big budget here, we can't do many buildings, we can't do complex cities, well, then just have like open terrain and just have like a nice grassy level with valleys and stuff where it's mostly terrain based, or a nice forest section or something. There's so much that can be done to make this game interesting. Even if you actually just had really simple oval circuits and you could then knock your opponents off the track. Even whilst making it really accommodating to newer drivers and making it still rewarding, this is just really bizarre. But the most obvious thing that really I don't understand with this, if you've got simple, largely open environments with cars like this, why on earth doesn't it have rockets or certain types of weapons, but rockets in particular? How fun would it be being able to drive nice and easy like this? You don't have to really concentrate on the driving, but it's got a little bit of depth to the driving mechanics, which is quite nice. But you then also can fire rockets at people that you can also avoid, and you can avoid them because the cars are easy to drive, the tracks are quite wide, and then you can explode people by aiming at them and stuff. Why wouldn't you put that in the game? If you've only got 8 cars, why wouldn't you put some basic rocket type weapons and maybe even like a shield mechanic so you can also block it as well? Instantly, rockets would transform this game from being so dull to an incredibly exciting battle racer. And weirdly, the cars actually do have like quite nice damage on this. Bits of them can fall off and things. That would be a great way to demo particle effects and explosions and stuff happening. But instead, it is literally 8 cars driving around some of the most mundane locations you've ever seen. I will say, in this case, though, I did like the idea of modern levitated platforms, but them having dirt on it. And the dirt texture does look really nice, as does the particle effect. And as I say, it does run really nice. I also like that they've got lights in the wheels. There are some nice little tweaks to this, and there are some nice ideas in it. Ideas that were pretty much in the game in the 2020 version. But why? If you're iRacing, presumably you have the time and the budget and the ability to actually make this into something exciting. Also, I can understand you think, well, iRacing doesn't want to be associated with guns and weapons, which is weird because iRacing are based in Florida and they have to take rocket launchers to work every morning so they don't get their legs eaten by alligators. But, you know, I get it. They want to one day maybe be an Olympic game, in the Olympic Games, or they don't want any violence, even though motorsport is actually really quite violent and you're driving off cliffs. So blowing up cars is probably just as violent as that. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'd rather be blown up than crushed or cooked slowly in a vehicle that's driven off a cliff face. But anyway, there's no people in this game. There's no allusion to people actually being in the cars. The whole lore and story behind this is that the vehicles are remote control. Because as you guys know, nothing is more compelling and exciting than racing against remote control cars in first person. So you're not actually racing against people. But given that they've done that, why not then have the cars be blown up and exploding? That way it's still super PG tips mode. Like Rocket League, you can blow other people up, but they're remote control cars, so it's fine. It's okay. Why is there no weapons in this game? What is going on? And okay, even if you... I just don't get it, guys. If you're going to like not have weapons, why only have 8 car grids? Why not just have a simple oval with like 50 cars? Why? It honestly makes no sense at all. Then it gets even more confusing. The iRacing integration into this, where you've got the iRacing logo, and this game has zero to do with iRacing other than the bizarre iRacing stuff they sort of shoehorned into it. It feels like a month before release. Yes, so this is just a really bizarre title, and a massive missed opportunity, massively missed opportunity by iRacing. But you can effectively see this as a tech demo that shows that they have a cross-platform engine. They have some pretty decent handling mechanics, especially for an arcade racing game that has the wheel support. I say you can't use a separate pedal at the moment, but the general handling and nature and the physics and the underlying tech there, I think has a lot of potential. You could take this and you could actually build quite a decent rally title out of this. I feel like that could be done with this. The general handling mechanics and handling nature in this is a little bit reminiscent of that kind of code mastery feel to the handling dynamics, especially the correction that they've put on some of the lower end vehicles, and the auto correction and the stability means that you can do a little bit of throttle control, a little bit of sliding. And so from a car handling gameplay perspective, the input mechanics combined with a little bit of depth to the physics is quite nice. But it's great on a tech demo thing. It's great as an internal piece of software, but as a piece of software for people to buy, it's absurd. It's actually a bit of a piss take. And as I say, it wouldn't have taken much for this to genuinely be a really good title. So what can we all take away from this? As I say, I really don't recommend buying this. I really think this is actually a demonstration of iRacing yet again showing that they have the game design aptitude of a chimpanzee that's driven off a racetrack. And I do think, optimistically though, the fundamentals in this, handling mechanics, the base core features in this, will probably find themselves in future titles, and will obviously allow iRacing to then do future racing games that are cross-platform. And hopefully the engine tech in this, or components of it, could find itself in iRacing, which would mean that iRacing would no longer appear like a 90s video game when you're playing it, and would have better frame time and better consistency, stuff like loading grandstands when there's lots of details and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that would end up in iRacing in the long term, but that's all sort of development and business stuff, and really I don't think players should particularly concern themselves with that. What they really want to know is the game that you're buying and currently playing, is that actually good, and what have you actually got there? And from a game design perspective as well, as I say, what a bloody missed opportunity this is. Well, we could have had a really good battle racer with somewhat realistic physics, works with a wheel, works with a gamepad as well, some rockets to fire at people. How good would that be? And then iRacing could go, they could have integrated it nicely in an interesting way. So iRacing would be like, oh, let's blow off some steam and jump into this quick online battle game. But no, it's the most dull, least inspired version of things. What has happened in 2024? How is it that when I was a child, guys, millions of years ago, but like Big Red Racing, it had stuff like you drive off the track because why not? You're bored, and there's sheep to run over with a ramp. They just put that in there because the developers are like, that'll be funny. And it was. And they have like on the menu, that's not my belly button, that's not my finger neither. Some like stupid jokes and stuff. It was fun. Helicopters, boats, cars, jeeps, different planets. But that was fun. And then even stuff like the pod racing games. Even like Carmageddon with like stuff to run over and things to do and silly missions and planes landing and runways, and why is it in 2024 that, like, okay, the graphics are nice, it's nice physics, I think the netcode works okay, but why is there no creativity at all? Even the most obvious, even creativity that would be less effort, why doesn't that even happen? What is going on with the games industry? Anyway, right, I'm done, guys. I'm done. Bloody hell. Thanks for watching this video. Jesus, make a strong cup of tea. Till the next one, I'm going to go and walk in some edges. Take care, and goodbye, everyone.